So the goal as we see it is to contain aerosols as much as possible and as close to the source as possible. So the term here is source capture. That may be new to some. Probably everyone's familiar now with on the heels of this pandemic, excuse me. So going back to our household flood metaphor, the goal is to stop or minimize it at the source so we don't have to deal with it on a wider scale. And so we have two known ways to deal with that. And one is HVE, which we're all familiar with. And now we're all familiar with extraoral suction. So it turns out HVE is really good at intraoral targeting. It's very small and it covers a very small area, but it also, in our testing shows that it does better on larger droplets than on aerosols. And extraoral suction, while large by comparison, is still covering a small area at the patient's face or mouth. It's much more effective on aerosols. And so at this point, this was the question: how effective are these methods, and are these good? This is what we were doing during the pandemic. So is this what we need to be doing moving forward? So we commissioned a pilot study with dental advisors to test this, to measure the difference and effectiveness of these alternative methods in the dental office and patient care. And so we did this by sampling at two locations. I'm embarrassed to say there are acetylene trays, which aren't totally invalid for a comparative measure, but we got good advice on the experiment design, and we're using aerosol impactor, which is that yellow thing there in the picture there. And basically what it does is it draws air through itself while you're running the test. So you're measuring aerosols that are airborne. So in so doing, we can measure this and compare over the time that the patient was treated and see what the differences are. So it turns out HVE does help. So that's the middle picture with the control where neither one of these was in place. The middle picture is just HVE alone on the patient. But when we add extraoral to that, we saw as much as an 84% reduction in aerosol in the test, and 95% spatter, which is important because we're also trying to control that, especially from the hygienist or the dentist. So much like masks are a simple solution to reduce the aerosol spread at the source of a person, we're using these methods near the patient when we can't have a mask on them. So, and why we're so focused on this SARS-CoV-2 pandemic, we really need to be looking at airborne infection control in a more general sense, which is what the topic should be the focus of this whole this meeting today. Is we shouldn't roll back our progress as we figured out how to deal with this during the pandemic. And eventually, hopefully, this pandemic will be in our rearview mirror, but that doesn't mean we should stop. We need to keep moving forward.